Okay, well, that was annoying. My internet Spectrum once again just decided to shit the bed as soon as the stream started. As Spectrum does. Okay, it seems to be functioning now. Okay, it's actually working. We are functioning. It is not exploding. Well, anyway, let's get into it. This is being salty about my ISP. Well, now that that's over and done with, I would like the students to come gather around here. Poe placed the sitters in a single file before him and began. Now, the regular checkup is complete. We finally have enough data to compare your pre-employment status to those of your current selves. Which means, indeed, we're able to measure your pre-employment combat capabilities as well. Oh, and what are your conclusions? Allow me to preface this by saying that this isn't much significance in establishing this peculiar hierarchy of power on a linear scale. Like I said, you're all equally mediocre at the present anyway, and there's plenty of significance, alright? We've all gotta know who's the big boss. That would be Don. That would be Don Heathcliff. While this is but a speculation of the worst case scenario, we must know which one of us has the most right and authority to lead the rest of the sinners in case the executive manager becomes, due to some unknown yet inexorable circumstances, unavailable. Hey, thanks. That's... I don't listen to anyone weaker than I am. Listen to Dante. What if there was a reason I was the first one asked to introduce himself? There was interest among the sinners to see which one of them would be the apex of this scale. Were they to be measured by their strength prior to their employment? Hey, maybe before I lost my babies, even I. Dante, don't. I can't tell if that was Vince saying, like, hey, Dante, let's not get ahead of ourselves, or if that was her doing that, or just telling him not to get involved in the other shenanigans. Though Virgil did raise a point that he could have been up there for all they know. In It is interesting how every collective has the desire to be the clear picture of the pecking order. A negative expression of this desire may even lead to juvenile behaviors among children, for example, stealing their colleagues' lunches, for meager reasons such as scoring higher than they did on a test. You're not speaking from personal experiences, are you? Thus, I believe that trying to conceal the outcome of the test from you will be quite meaningless. Each of your placements in that line you are standing on signifies what order you were so curious to know. I do not wish to waste any more breath on this subject. Okay, there was a long, long silence. The sinners all simultaneously turned to look at the person standing in the frontmost position of the line. This has to be the longest, most awkward, most loaded sentence I've ever felt in my life. Much did I wish to hold shrouded in my fathoms, yet I yearn to still convey that we are all more than meets the eye. Yet there remains a certain absence within my heart. Perhaps the tests of this day paint a picture of both my qualities. Thus spoke I, Yi Sang. Yi Sang? I will place trust in faith that all of you shall one day sprout wings as I have. He's saying it's the other way around. Okay, so they're in order of how strong they are, like, right now. So, well, Don's to be expected, but Otis? Really? I guess the line was made from my point of view. From here, the sinner wielding the oversized lance is the one at the front of this line. Oh, so wait, does that mean Yi Sang's the weakest? Oh. Well, you said some cool words, though. We got this, right, Yi Sang? Well, 'tis quite the bashful occasion to be the center of such fervent attention of one such company. I wouldn't say fervent words is the right word. Worried, maybe. I shall be vigilant. No one seemed to have any objections or doubts about who the strongest sinner was, given the earlier event. On second thought, it appears that it would be best if we left the command to Ishmael, as we have done this so far. Otis mumbled through gritted teeth. Forsooth, I am in agreement. I am more partial to roles as defending fixer or a squire. 'Tis oft the case that such side characters enjoy greater popularity since time immemorial. Very happy to see this discussion not coming to blows. Now, are we all ready to move on from this? Wait a minute. Are we all forgetting something pretty important? That's... Okay, that's just how the world works, Greg. No one remembers anyone from the first place to the last place. Even I forget my own placement in the order. No, I mean, fellas, I wasn't even part of the list. Oh, were you not? Who cares, mate? There's 12 of us. Some people just fell out of the radar. Big deal. Let's just get on with it. Hey, you can't just disregard me like swatting away a fly. I guess somewhere around my level, probably, or Heathcliff's. Ishmael replied in a voice that had clearly lost all interest in this discussion. You're the sinner with the bizarre insectoid arm. We had no choice but to place you in the least favorite category of all researchers. Exceptions. They really hate that, huh? In other words, you are a unique case that cannot well be placed in a list or scale. To do so would be irresponsible. I'd say you carry a certain potential. That potential is it. Does that mean that I could also be first placed if all goes well? Could very well be the reverse given the definition of potential. But not this query harrow your mind, Gregor. Your day will come. Gregor, you're not taking first place. How Otis is second, I don't know. Maybe you'll pass her. But you're not getting first place. Feels funny getting consoled by that guy who placed last. I mean, Yi Sang wasn't a fighter. He was a scientist. That's not a surprise. He was a scientist. I gotta go back. I gotta go back and see the exact line. Actually, I was actually curious. I'm surprised Otis is second. Okay, I just had to see the exact. I'm surprised Otis was second. I really was. I'm not surprised that Roshu is higher up. I thought she would be second. After some time passed, next we must discuss the classification numbers. We have been assigned risk levels. We have been assigning risk levels for distortions, just as we have abnormalities. The observation logs you have written for us were of great help, of course. My researchers struggled to praise the handwriting of certain sinners. However, but it was good data all the same. We once had 3-hour debate over a letter. Even that bloody governess gave up on trying to fix my handwriting. I'm not surprised at Heathcliff. Grin proudly and wiped the side of his nose. As you must all be well aware, I take it the governess is Otis. The current system of classification numbers has rather significant oversight. Because abnormalities were creations of former L Corp, our classification system had to be lifted whole from their system. However, the criteria of which former L Corp measured the risk levels was an amount of their energy production. As a correlation of sorts, it is often the case that the more aggressive abnormalities produce more energy, but their destructive capabilities were not part of the criteria despite the correlation. That is why abnormalities were assigned relatively lower risk levels despite their potential to kill even multiple higher ranking employees. They were an energy company at the end of the day. It makes sense that their priority would be to measure the energy output. However, both abnormalities and distortions must be suppressed via direct confrontation, thus the former L Corp's classification system is rather incongruent with our purposes. I once heard someone say that we should be wary of people who drone on and on in the intro. Thus, it became necessary for us to reorganize the distortion risk levels and classification codes. Wow, how interesting. So whose job is that going to be? I am rather taken aback by the naivety of which you asked me that question. Us? It's us, sinners, without the right to refuse, was it? Wait a sec. Ain't you just offering your own work onto us? A privilege given to researchers. Oi, don't be so ignorant, yeah? This is just, in order to research the distortion, right? We got it the other way around, assistant. We've got to do the research into distortion in order to solve them better. It's elementary shite. It really... Who's really got you wrapped around his finger? You know that. Wonder if that's why he picked Heathcliff, is he's just the easiest for him to manage. According to LCD on-site investigative reasoning team leader, the progression of a distortion is much like that of a disease. The fate of the abnormality awaits at the end of the distortion phenomenon, after all. When a distortion progresses into an abnormality... Oh, so they can become abnormalities, okay. A pre-existing individual is erased, replaced with a totality of an abnormality. This is important to bring back a distortion that is already transformed into an abnormality. It will no longer have that reversibility that they once had as in the distortion phase. So a distortion like that Time Ripper fella will eventually become an abnormality too if left untouched. If you're referring to the subject HE6PI2001, then yes. This is simply a prediction, of course, because that particular subject isn't contained here. I cannot say with absolute certainty that its progression to abnormality would have been observed. A correct assessment. Oh, didn't Limbus Company collect the Time... Oh, didn't Limbus Company collect the Time Ripper? We hoped we would, but T-Corp was very adamant that their claim over the entity, to the point where they refused to even sit and at the negotiation table, I found their time-ripping ability quite fascinating, but sometimes I must know when to cut my losses, I suppose. Hello and welcome. What's up? How are you doing? Wait, so that he something is the new classification code format. Indeed, because it is difficult to identify and observe the origin and the shape of a distortion, we decided to forego the information and instead replace them with their sin affinities and the expected damage scale. Sin affinities, PI, must refer to... I don't even know how the hell to pronounce that. Sloth. It appears that the classification now mimics the classification of the... I need to look up how to pronounce these things. I am how far in it and I still don't know. They do indeed follow the same thought process. If we're being technical here, I wouldn't say it mimics it. It would be more accurate to say that once the origins of the distortion phenomenon and its byproducts, the affinities can be transferred to 1-to-1. What's the expected damage scale? Combat capability, I'm guessing. I remember them saying that the risk levels were determined based on the production rates, which is not the most meaningful information to us who have to fight them directly. It was a tad inconvenient to put a nebulous idea like combat capabilities into a single numerical scale of power. Certain entities have idiosyncrasies and variabilities that may make such a linear measurement quite meaningless. So instead, we decided to measure the expected amount of damage that Limbus company personnel might suffer should they engage these entities in battle. While the Time Ripper poses very little threat against the Sinners due to your idiosyncrasies, the unique nature of their weapon means that they can immediately deal nigh fatal blow to anyone from LCC department within a single strike. Oh, that's actually true. I didn't think about that. Time Ripper could have even potentially shut down Virgil if he managed to get a hit in on him. That is why this distortion was given a rather high expected damage scale of 6. From the scale of 1 to 10, please do note that this is not a perfect system, and these values are there only as references. Will this standard be applied to abnormalities as well? We have plans to do so, yes. Crystal levels and expected damage scales will be coming before their classification codes. Speaking of which, I have something to show you all. What is it? What else other than a monolith? One of the highest potential values among Limbus Company's businesses. Thus, the development and transportation management and processing methodologies of the monolith is a growing achievement indeed. The artifact, by its very nature, poses a great danger. I hesitate to embrace its use so willingly. A great danger, but wouldn't you say that we are, by danger at all, danger at all times. The arbitrariness in deciding how dangerous something is comes from a degree in which it poses a risk. As you must already know, the monolith here is a device that can force a distortion. It is scattered throughout the city just like the Golden Bough, at first only in possession of the fingers and the syndicates of the back streets, to now being collected by companies both large and small and nameless like a plague. We also learn that they have become rather high priority targets for some wings out there. As luck would have it, we managed to begin our research expeditions and the collection of the monoliths much earlier than others. Now we are already at a stage in which we may partake in the processing of the sales of these artifacts, expanding our business ventures. You could say that we narrowly avoided a very unsavory fate of having to tussle with the wings for possession of these artifacts, because we may have had to confront the wings directly were that the case. Asking out of pure curiosity here, what would happen if we were to assign a city threat? What happened if we were ever assigned a city threat level? How about we don't ask questions we don't ever want to find out the answer to? I mean, what if we, due to some contractual shenanigans, end up going against the associations? I think it would be a good thing to know ahead of time, just in case. Seems like a question worth entertaining to me. Hello, Scorpion! Let's see, from the current star of the city, I suppose your assessment will be somewhere between Urban Plague and Urban Nightmare. Not SOC yet, are we? It almost sounds like... It sounds as if you want to be given a threat level. It is true that you, upon first sight, due to your rival powers and the potential for the identity technology, may appear to pose a rather troublesome risk. However, you have a very clear and obvious weakness. Indeed, all our advantages will be moot upon the manager's death. Well, I wouldn't say that, Faust, because apparently you all being connected to him weakens you guys significantly. And there's definitely some potential powerhouses here after we've seen that, like, ranking system that, like, where they, especially where they basically just said, like, how strong the Cineworks were in comparison to each other. With Don, Otis, and Roshu being in the first three, upon the manager's death, they could still potentially even pose a more serious threat. Yeah, they lose their, like, they basically lose their pseudo-immortality, sure, but for some of the higher, like, more powerful sinners, it really wouldn't matter too much. Especially with someone like Don. Indeed, he slowly turns around and looks at me, prompting Faust and the other sinners to follow suit. What if we protect them, though? I am impressed by your optimism, given the kinds of enemies you have faced thus far. We don't even need to go so far back in time to discuss the incidences with the fixer Siegfried or Big Brother Ricardo. I read your reports. Should the third sinner suddenly seek to attack the manager with their full might, do you truly believe that the rest of you would be enough to protect them? No, the flow of this world is that the magic will be preserved, that no such thing may come to pass. That's enough. Any further divulgence, and Faust will open a disciplinary committee to discuss the consequences of your careless words. Not there yet, are we? Very well. Whichever the case, do you have the potential to become a star? Do you have the potential to become a star of the city threat at some time in the future? But do remember that it would be best if you could avoid that unfortunate designation. And please don't forget that it is only true so long as you have Limbus Company's backing. Oh boy, that... Also, what? I am very hungry. I am very hungry, but let's... Okay, what I missed in chat? It's crazy to think that 2 years ago I didn't even know who you were, and I think the first vid I saw was when your fighting star skirts were gone, and I was only the one who told you his weakness, which was frost. Yeah, the weakness I never used because I could use frost effectively, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I'm already, the lower levels IDs that are not met the requirements are not of concern because they don't, hopefully should never have to actually rely on them. Because those will be like the last two left standing scenario. You're almost done with the regular checkup. Finally, we have a chance for you to overcome an adversary based on what you have learned thus far, and for me to prove my hypothesis. What hypothesis is he talking about? No need to worry, my hypothesis has never been wrong, most of the time. This experiment is entirely of my own design and supervision, and I will faithfully follow my own pure curiosities and instincts as a researcher. Guys, I have a feeling we're not gonna like where this goes. Do you see this monolith here? Yep, I do. That's a monolith, alright, but... don't you worry, my researchers will be the ones to activate the artifact. Activate the artifact? Not on you, relax. I understand that none of you would be willing participants in this experiment. I swear, if you're going to force us to distort saying that we have no right to refuse with something, I'm gonna... Yeah, hang on, I can't let you do that, even as your assistant. Yes, but if you must, we are willing to send the weakest senior among us for... Did I forget I said that? That was foolish of me to say. We are not sacrificing Yisang. I will be the subject of the experiment myself. What? This is a bad idea. I don't like you, and I wouldn't mind a chance to fight you, but this is still a bad idea. You're going to distort yourself. Am I hearing that? Am I hearing you right? Aren't you curious to see what kind of distortion you'd end up becoming? I'm sure this is a question you all have entertained at least once. Also, isn't that heavily dependent on the person? Not just the person, but what they're going through at the time. Can't that have a heavy influence on this? Like, what's causing them to do that? Can that have a heavy influence? So, what happened once may not happen again? Is that how that works? No, I ain't curious. It ain't a very pleasant experience either. Heathcliff has experienced that person. His distortion looks freaking awesome. Stop gritting your teeth like that, assistant. It will have an adverse effect on your long-term dental health. What if you just end up turning into a... I still don't know how to pronounce that. You could end up becoming just another one of those fodder we slaughtered on our way through the test earlier. You're risking that. It is indeed a possibility. It would significantly signify nothing more than my very own limitations. Just a mediocre shell. I mean, I can kind of respect this guy for his way of thinking. Like, he seems just as much willing to throw himself into a circumstance. This is for the sake of research, so I could kind of respect him for this. But I still think it's an incredibly dumb decision. If such an incident comes to pass, these employees will transport me to a containment unit. We even made a bet on what kind I would turn into. But how could you? Think about it like this. If I were to become a, it would be akin to losing at a game of chance. Of course, what counts as a loss may depend on what I, at the precise time, consider to be losing. But the mere fact of turning into a relieves me of any value of life. I'd say he was being too hard on himself, but that felt too simple an expression to describe his tone. The company would most likely attempt to transport me to a containment unit, but I disagree with that decision. I would like to ask you to dispose of me on the spot. I am well aware that I am not the kind of person who earns others' favor at first meeting, if at all. I also don't believe that our brief relationship has been the most amicable kind. Therefore, I see little reason for why you would hesitate to cut me down. I mean, believe it or not, there are people out there who are not too keen on just murking some poor bastard they just met. Though I don't like you, and I am not one of those people, so yes, let's do this. Of course, sinners with gentle hearts like this young Sinclair here may experience certain distaste against this decision. But once I become it may as well mean that the entity has ceased to be. I hope no unnecessary emotions like guilt cloud your judgment in killing a mere byproduct. But if something unexpected happens, we're talking about your life here. Don't you have any manuals with backup plans or... This is very simple. Nothing more than a coin flip, heads or tails. You're also risking that us not being able to bring you back after you distort. We don't know what you'll turn into, and we might not have a choice. It appears that you still insist, that you are still insisting on your absurd 50-50 theory. I'm a researcher who wishes to humiliate the field of mathematical statistics, unlike the general lay of the academy. I believe there is a certain romanticism to research. It is much more exciting to run as many tests and gain as many samples as you can than to be stuck behind a desk poring day and night over books and paper, isn't it? Again, I can kind of respect this guy for it, like, not being afraid to throw himself into an experiment like this. But I still think this is a dumb idea. If it's tails, then you may dispose of me immediately, and the employees will take care of the rest. Don't forget to destroy the key inside the coat pocket and any files inside my cabinets. For example, yes, we remember. Again, she is so freaking cute. She is so freaking cute. I really hope we get to see more of her. If I were to successfully distort, we would be halfway to success. For the first time, I am feeling quite the envy for you all. I wish I could be a witness to my very own distortion. Well, I mean, if we're able to bring you back, you might be able to witness this via recording. If you've been paying attention to my lectures, perhaps you could even come up with a classification code for my distortion too, going by the standards we have discussed earlier. I mean, we'd have to cross-reference with all the other, like, abnormalities that have been already classified to see kind of like where you stand amongst this ranking system. You haven't really given us much information. Now, I have very expectations that you would. I've recently come to a realization that people nodding along to my words is not a signifier of comprehension, but instead an expression of societal necessities. Then the manager here will open the entrance to my dungeon of the Fathoms, and you will progress through the mirror dungeon as you have always done when facing a distortion, to breach into the deepest fathoms to face my distortion once again. I wish you the best of luck in your suppression efforts. Hexasection? And once you've made it that far, it is likely that you will find me unconscious, or, if luck were to have it, conscious. Unconscious. Are you sure this is safe? A degree of a case-by-case variance is to be expected. It may take some time for a full recovery, but it will happen, should you succeed. That reminds me, that's how this bamboo-hatted Kim was brought back as well. Bamboo-hatted Kim, he recovered? He's safely contained within our facilities. It seems that they have already activated the monolith. On top of that, even as a distortion, will be quite the exceptional specimen. Watch him be just something goofy and awful. Watch him just be bad. Just like, watch him just be squishy and weak or something. Or just something silly and stupid. Hang on, just like that? You're not a... Indeed, and I can still hear them. What the hell is this? Yes, I remember. I still do. I know he'll be back, but gosh, this is pretty unnerving. Don't worry, we'll bring him back no matter what. The manager says we'll bring him back no matter what. Sure sounds like a dependable sort. This manager of yours, very well. Please take a look at this. Is this a note? Did he write us tips on how to do this or something? He says that all you have to do is read what's on the note in front of the distortion. Apparently it's some kind of a code. I don't think you'll hear anything but ticking noises from me. Can you read this, Mersault? It will be done as you commanded. Mersault nodded, then began to read the words from the note out loud. Lobotomy Corporation, 5 minutes, potentially, anticipation, right hand. The moment Mersault uttered them, the ultra-familiar portal began to appear around distortion, as though they were a key to a door. Scattering stars of familiar yet alien signs appearing intermittently beyond the shimmering veil. Poe had already entered the portal as we stood there gawking, but we could still hear his voice echoing through the laboratory. I suppose I'll be forced to share my past here. The past I never wanted to share, the past no one cares to learn about. This is something I must endure for the sake of this experiment. However, I needn't expose every little detail of it. Oh, this is a cool looking... This is cool looking. It's all in the past now anyway, isn't it? Oh, oops, hold up. Okay, we're good. I think. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so this is basically just like one long mirror dungeon. Okay. Okay, burn ego, rupture ego. Well, a couple of the none of these are... None of these are none of these are particularly good, but at least the Blood Fiends have a couple, at least I have a couple of things that do rupture mixed into the group. They just happen to do a little bit of rupture with bleed. What do I think about that? What do I think about what? Or do you mean what you said earlier? I really don't know what to... I don't really know what to think about that in particular. Scorpion, my memory is shit. Hard to say what I think of it, because like I said, my memory is kinda shit.
뒷박질 시간.
Oh, that's what I said. Is my name Melvin? No, I'm pretty sure my name's not Melvin. Maybe. Donating blood plasma just sucks the life out of me. What's going on with them? Good, it appears that I can censor these of my own will, at least to some degree. At least to a degree. Your mission here is to classify my distortion, reach the end of the dungeon of Fathoms, and bring me back. Your mission, however, does not involve digging into my past. It appears that we have a passing familiarity with this place. Us. This has to be the most chill distortion I think we have ever seen. What is it that they seek to convey? I don't believe any level of proper communication will be feasible given that you are in a dungeon of the Fathoms. Well, then do something about it. I regret to tell you that the setting of this dungeon is out of my hands. Had it been up to me, I would have manifested a place with much more fascinating than this. Like a library, fabled to have every book in existence. You used to work at Lobotomy Corporation? Honestly, does not surprise me. One of my past careers, yes. Us. Diplomacy did not seem to be an option here. The censored people brandished their weapons threateningly and stood in our path. Looks like we're gonna have to take them down if we want to make any progress here. Can't be helped. Let's get ready for a fight. Finally found the Miss Smith script daggers. Congratulations. The Smith scripts are those throwing daggers, right? Man, those weapons were just bad. Those throwing weapons could have had a lot of potential if they added more of them. Like, a lot more of them, and made them their own kind of class of weapons. Like, a mix of, like, unique weapons, standard weapons. More like legendary weapons, stuff like that. It could have had so much potential if they added a lot more of them, but they just didn't. Dawn annihilates. Well, I meant the throwing weapons specifically, like the daggers and the hammer.
그렇게 시원하게 처리하니 보는 맛이 처리는 빠르게 하는 편이 더
I meant specifically like the more like
답답한
weapons like with throwing abilities. Hell, doesn't the daggers have a isn't there like a very specific buffer talisman that buffs the daggers specifically? Not because it's tied to the weapon, but just because that's the only weapon that actually fits the category of buffs. I swear I remember something like that. Like there being some weird thing where there's a talisman that only buffs one weapon, not because it's particularly made for that weapon, but it's because the only weapon in its class. I know, but I thought there was one specific for like the throwing stuff. Maybe I'm mistaken, but either way, that could have had so much potential. They needed to add more of the throwing stuff though.
단순해서 좋군 9번 수감자. 물론 좋은 성과를 갖고 돌아온다면 달고 짭짤한 걸
Man, I am genuinely having some issue here. Oh yeah, I forgot to remove Don from the announcers. Her loud-pitched voice starts to dip your sanity a bit.
영원히 적합한 조치였어.
너희의 목표, 이 혈투를 승리로 이끌겠다.
Nice. I think.
고귀하게 아류탄소 병을 60. I don't really have anybody who does burn, but why not? 지금은 성공했지만
Well, it healed her.
어떨지.
There's a reason not to do it.
야음을 틈타.
Speaking of Elden Ring, I'm currently fighting Godfrey doing. I think that's suppressive damage? I don't know. I've already largely forgotten. So, how do we know this guy's actually, like, distorted? He doesn't sound any different from his usual self. Insanity degradation due to distortion affects every subject differently. I mean, yeah, but censoring his own fathoms. But, oh, you're in a dungeon of fathoms. We will see through it if Dante's power. We will see through it with Dante's powers, whether you want to show us or not. Make a fair assessment. How about this then? If you are to see them anyway, Allow me to save you the trouble and give you a quick rundown. Instead, come visit me as soon as you finish watching my tale. This tale began with when that man walked into my laboratory. Yes, I had a personal laboratory all to myself, one with few perks of being an elite researcher. One of the few perks of being an elite researcher. This guy's just telling a story of how he wants, however he wants to, isn't he? Mr. So, how the hell do you pronounce your name? If this was voice, I could at least play, the sound and try to figure out how it's pronounced. Well, at least I could hear it pronounced. Let me think. I don't quite remember what he looks like. Something like this, perhaps. Whichever is the case, I was planning to censor his appearance anyway. This has to be the chillest distortion we have ever seen. I wanted to talk to you about something. Stop, are you here to express your displeasure with me? The what now? If you are, do let me know if from the get-go. I had a feeling it was about time this would happen. 3 months, not bad record for working without a workplace conflict. Oh, if this is about quitting, then you would find a much better audience among the human resources team. No, I mean, I'm just here to thank you for picking me, some dude from the backstreets, to work here. I heard it was you who made the hiring decision. I don't know how to put this, but you're the one who saw my, what's the word? Yeah, my potentiality. What did you say my potential? Why my potentiality? That's a weird choice. Why did I just say potential? You saw something that no one else cared to look into before. Know what I mean? But it had nothing to do with something so grandiose like his potentiality. A wing does not hire people from the backstreets for something so insignificant. Now, the information has never been publicly available. Lobotomy Corporation's primary citations was trauma. Candidates with horrible, insurmountable trauma were often favored by the company. And in an indirect way, it was only natural that they would begin to favor the candidates who originate from the backstreets. Your greetings are acknowledged, Jimmy. Now, feel free to leave my office. I ain't Jimmy. Anyways, I've been meaning to ask, why do you always enjoy being alone? It may come to surprise you, but I'm very adept at spending my time all on my own. It is one of the hundreds of distinguishing features that set me apart from ordinary men. Say, don't you need someone to be like your loyal right-hand man? AP, my right hand is doing just fine, thank you very much. Do you believe in politeness? What an unrelevantly stubborn employee he was, even in hindsight. Thanks to you, I do, and I've been thinking if I keep at it, one day I might even find myself living at large in a nest, changing my world little by little. Not like how a thing like me managed to stagger a position here at Lobotomy Corporation, So I'm thinking here, what that I want to stick around in your circle. To bring about such drastic changes in one's life is in the realm of feasibility for an exceptional researcher like myself, indeed, but you are, like most of the rabble, painfully average in most qualities and therefore unlikely to move force in that change. I have no faith in universal things like potentialities. I have faith in myself alone. Besides, I am not very partial to mathematics statistics that prove that of like probability theory anyway. So, I would like to keep both my right and left hands as my own. Have a nice day. Want to know something about me? I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really think about things. Action before deliberation, you get me? Ah. Thoughtless and carefree, possibly the only merit to be found in those who originate from the back streets. Or was it a thinly veiled threat of physical assault? No, I'm talking about the new Abno that just got shipped here. It's a tricky one to manage. I'll tell you what, it reads your mind, screwing up all kinds of strategies or whatever, as long as it's based on hard logic. Want to shoot for the Department of the Year award together? You seem to be rather skilled in the art of transactions. One of the few merits found in those who originate from the back streets. I will admit, I suppose I was overcome by a certain in you back then? What? Stop making my vocabulary look small, god damn it! And in hindsight, I was foolish. It was foolish of me to engage in such inane conversations. You us. The remnants of my past come to haunt us. Wait a minute. That looks like the girl who's always on fire. Kind of looks something similar to her. Perhaps it was I whom they truly wish to hurt. Okay, extreme violence, let's go. I love the blood feed ID.
그래, 그렇게 시원하게 처리해 보는 맛이 나.
이제야 친해가 좀 되시네요. 평소에도 이러면 얼마나 좋습니까?
Okay, there we go. Come on, Gregor, heal up a bit. Oh, he died too soon.
그간의 전투 경험이 쓸모가 없지 않았군요, 딸때. 적합한 조치였어. 놈, 나와!
따뜻한. 입이 다물어지지 않을 정도의 일격이었네.
That was easy. It's finally here, the Department of the Year award. Indeed, I have finally done it. With some minor assistance from you, of course, and some other employees. Come on, admit it. Don't you notice that a lot more employees are saying hello and good morning and what have you to you in the hallway compared to when your reputation was a bit, you know. It's all because I'm just good at the right. It's because I'm just that good of a right-hand man. I will admit that you're intuitive and spontaneous I was of some assistance when it comes to identifying certain observations among abnormalities. This is the potentiality I was talking about, man. The same thing you saw in me when you decided to get me on board. Apologies for ruining the moment, but the next few years quickly and busily flew by without much trouble. Of course, we picked up ourselves a few more Department of the Year awards, some promotions, and some collaborative researches. Yet all things must come to an end. The infamous Lobotomy Corporation, for one. The infamous fall of the Lobotomy Corporation, for one. You, us. So, I don't suppose you have any trouble hazarding what they're all telling me. Even as the words come out fragmented, you left us. Nothing but words and endless resentment. You left us behind. The fall of the former L Corp. I remember what Miss Yuri told us. Oh yeah, Yuri. I'm so sad about what happened to her. Thanks for reminding me, Gregor. Damn it. You had to remind me. That site crumbled in an instant, trapping the employees in there with the abnormalities. What is this sound? The whole structure is quaking. What the hell is... Initiate site burial in 100 seconds. Any remaining employees must immediately evacuate the structure. Counting down. 95, 94. The escape pods... Oh, this is a soundtrack from Lobotomy Corp. I recognize that song. I recognize this song. The escape pods have surfaced. The escape pods to the surface are here, but there's only one seat left. They're saying that the next one's in 5 minutes. I listen closely. At the risk surrounding the rather sounding rather callous, I must inform you that the chances of survival in cases of crisis such as this are usually guaranteed only to a very small minority of those affected. Some who prioritize the fairness of the process may settle on primitive methods such as drawing lots to see who gets to escape. And in more barbaric groups, the survivor who is decided by none other than the rule of might. However, I am glad to find myself among those who side with intelligence, so I make this argument I suggest before you. Compare yourselves whose sole final purpose in life is clinging to your mediocre office jobs, making good on your debt payments. Yeah, okay, hearing this sentence come out of him when my life is on the line, I would have just offed him on the spot and tried to take the pod for myself. Screw intelligence, I choose life. I don't care about the intelligent decision, I choose life. Period. And me, who has produced several groundbreaking thesis and research results at such an early age, whose life in your eyes is of greater worth. Yes, that is how this tale ends. Compound collapsed 90 seconds later. I left the employees in my department behind and boarded the escape pod elevator and survived. How could you? Without even a hint of remorse. Wrath is a hideous emotion. I'm here today only because I have always maintained a cold, rational head. The Elcorp branch within the dungeon of fathoms began to crumble. It almost appeared as though his heart was crumbling as well. Well, now it's over with. I invite you to come face me, the distortion. The experiment will come to an end, and the experiment will come to an end. But finding and defeating the distortion in a fight, I don't think that'll bring him back. I just know it. I agree. We're still in deep waters here. This can't possibly be all there is to it. Nope! Because we can clearly see how much we have left. I don't know, I'm just gonna pick one. I'm not really using Rupture. They don't really matter to me too much. Like, Rhodia's got a little bit of Rupture. That's it. That's all I got.
라만 차렌들을 뒤엎는다.
어떤 상황이 닥쳐도 포기하지 마세나. 저들의 공격은 우리의 투지를 꿰뚫을 수 없을 테니.
Okay, guys, you know the drill. Just steamroll everything. This requires very little effort. Just steamroll everything.
또한 용서할 테니.
본인이 방금 뭘 본 것인가? 엄청나게 강한 일격을. 아?
이제야 실력을 좀 내세요. 평소에도 이러면 얼마나 좋습니까?
그래, 그렇게 시원하게 처리해야 할 고통은 맛이 나는군.
Oh, hey, I lost the class.
놈, 나와! 단순해서 좋군. 두번 수감자.
승리로 이끌.
물론.
And of course, Gregor is staggered. Why would he not be staggered?
부서질 테다. 준비해두지.
다류 탄초 경연 육시. 찢겨라.
추잡하네.
목이 피었잖아. 놈, 나와! 그간의 전투 경험이 쓸모가 없진 않았군요, 단테. 적합한 조치였습니다.
IMEP. What's the difference? I'll go with this one, I guess.
어떤 조직 놈들인지 면면 좀 받을까?
어떤 상황이 닥쳐와도
죄인인가?
포기하. 아, 40. 못하겠습니다. 너무 유치하잖아요.
Okay, Sancho can be weirdly cute sometimes when she's trying to force that
엄청나게 강한 일격을.
act that Dawn usually gives off. That is actually kind of cute.
건드렸겠다. 그래, 그렇게 시원하게 처리하니 보는 맛이. 일 처리는 빠르게 하는 편이
꿰뚫려라.
답답한 법. 단순해서 좋군 9번 수감자. 물론
Come on, guys, just keep steamrolling. We've got this. We've got this in the bag.
걸 준비하지.
자, 부숴줄 테다.
랜덤 프레스 선택이었어 나리. 저들의 약점이 뻔히 보이는 게로군.
자,
이 정도로 나와 공을 맞대?
제가 괜히 먹을 것들을 사들고 오는 것이 아닙니다.
묻혀지게!
이런 부수적인 효과를 기대했습니다.
Okay, after this fight, though, I'm gonna have to get up and get something with caffeine because I get eepy. Tuning plasma just saps the life out of me.
흙을 마실 걸?
귀찮은 부위가 문제물인 모양.
Oh, you poor creature! You poor creature!
분별해서 잘나있길 기대하겠습니다.
Actually, let's move up. Okay, Dawn, go.
지금은 성공했지만
Meh.
어떨지.
Okay, yeah, this is the end of the dungeon. Okay, well, before I do this, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna get another drink, something caffeinated, because I'm getting eepy. And it is way too damn early to end the stream because I'm sleepy, so I will be right back, everybody. Why the heck does it say my stream ended on my preview display? My connection appears stable. What the hell happened? Weird. Twitch is yeah, Twitch is fine. Weird. Okay, let's do this. How wrong can this go? How wrong can this go? Arrive at the entrance of what's his nuts' laboratory. This may be my final order to you. Suppress me, return safe and sound to where you came from, or fail the suppression. Place me in containment unit, and perhaps we can observe what happens next. That's when Heathcliff suddenly strode forward. Okay, you. Do you still believe in that potentiality? I do. It's what keeps me going. You only hire researchers from the back streets, don't you? I heard from them earlier. You told me that you're a right pompous bloke, but thanks to you, they can continue to research and believe that there might be things in the world that's worth working toward. Okay, he is an awesome looking sorcerer. What did Sinner 3 do this time? I mean, again, most of our conflicts would be solved if we just put Don on a leash. Okay, poison trimmer's his thing. Mainly trimmer. What passes do you have? Oh, you're new? I'll pretend like I understand those words. I don't, but I can pretend. You can do a choice event. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't understand it, so let's just fight stuff. I will save this for if I need it. Oh, we're just raffle stomping the poor bastard. Okay. Well, it's all dominated. Even the ones that aren't uptied 4 are just stomping this man. I swear I do more damage when I just attack the thing if I can win the clash over hitting the shields. I swear. Oh yeah, I uptied for the Don's ego. I wonder what kind of damage that thing can do. I might just set that off just for shits next turn. Wait, didn't I fight this guy in the mirror dungeon? No, I swear I did. Well, I guess I'm risking the favor just to see this thing go. Wait a minute. No, I'm not gonna risk it. dominating. Dominating. Yeah, we've got this. Ow. Yeah, okay, last time I used the thing as an uptight 2. I wonder what uptight 4 for this ego looks like.
그저 하염없이 모든 피를 먹은
Yeah, much stronger enemy.
그렇게 화물이 피어나고 피어나고 피어나라.
Okay, so it didn't make much of a difference. The thing is, it's a stronger enemy. Okay, yeah, that was kind of meh.
어떤 상황이 닥쳐와도 포기하... 아! 이건 못하겠습니다. 너무 일치하잖아요.
Okay, kind of pointless, but the other one would be better. But I want that green skill so that way I can drop Don's
갑니다.
ego again if need be.
아? 따뜻한 피. 어떤 상황이 닥쳐도 포기하지 마세나. 저들의 공격은 우리의 투지를 깨뚫을 수 없을 테니.
Well, that's not good.
차
산소를
부숴줄 테다.
경멸하고 라샹 끝을 낼 시간.
Oh, we didn't even clash. Did I still the boss? We didn't even clash. Oh, tight. Hello, devil. I'm not tidy.
직접 싸워보질 않아서 그게 효과적일 것이라고 생각해. 관리자의 전투 교육도 이에 진시해야 할 수 있겠어.
우리 숙구를 건드렸겠다.
Plague? What plagues your mind manager? Okay. Okay, weakens the poise passive. Let's weaken the shield. Yeah, I fought this guy in the mirror dungeon before.
자세를 갖추고 저들을 맞이하세요.
I recognize that
우리를
question.
가로막는 저 시련을 해치우고 끝나지 않는 모험을 향하여.
Hit him with that. Okay, there we go.
나가서 싸워. 내가 봐주지.
건드렸겠다.
따뜻한
목이 피었잖아.
I am honestly surprised this guy's lasted as long as he has.
얼얼하지?
걱정은 하지 않겠습니다. 어차피
Oh well, you're
이미 이길
screwed,
거라고
boy.
확신하고 있으실
묻혀지게!
테니 나가서 싸워. 뒤는 꿰뚫려라. 원더풀한 선택이었어, 나리! 저들의 약점이 뻔히 보이는 게로군. 자식. 먹지. 괜찮은
Did
공격.
we win?
앞으로도
좋아.
그렇게만 해주세요.
장부에서 삭제.
We win. The escape pods had to the surface, or escape pods to the surface here, but there's only one seat. You're saying the next one will be in 5 minutes. Look, I don't actually believe you hired me because you saw potential or something like, because you saw potential or something like that. Why does he look familiar? But I want to believe that you found hope and potentialities because of me. I hope and anticipation that we can make things better as long as we keep it up. Keep at it. I can't leave you all behind. I can't just save my skin without everyone. That is what a right-hand man does, isn't it? Take my potentiality you found and rise. Take it with you to the surface. But, how the hell do you pronounce that name? What are you doing? I need to hear these things pronounced. Well, maybe next time, some other time. Wrath is a hideous emotion. That is why I did nothing to entertain, or nothing at the entrance of that branch. Well, only nothing. Wait, remembering nothing anymore. Remembering the ones I've left behind. I can sense the dungeon of the Fathom slowly beginning to close. Sometime later. I've returned safe and sound. Welcome back, boss. To be frank, once wished to be someone like yourself. Someone like yourself, Heathcliff. What are you talking about? We don't want Heathcliff to be like Heathcliff. Because it's not easy to put my faith not in games of numbers, but in those slimmest possibilities or potentialities of the world and continue to exist. I know it's not befitting a researcher to be so, but it's quite the romantic attitude for a human to embody, is it not? Okay, I like him a little more now. Well, the experiment is over. It was a huge success. All thanks to us, right? No, it was a failure. What? I had established this hypothesis that the sole answer was that was to hold a firm belief in the self and nothing else. Had my hypothesis been correct, I would have remained a distortion. Thus, I would like to extend my gratitude to all of you. Thank you for making me fail. Seems that the classification for my distortion was a He5SU. I don't He5SU. I still don't understand the classification system. Disappointing, mediocre. But I did not suppose but I don't suppose it could be helped. Yeah, you were kind of weak. Probably I'd say you're a little bit less than mediocre, to say the least. The mediocre is a generous term here. The world is a place where we must find a ray of potentiality among the mediocre, after all. Let's move on now. Mephistopheles is prepared to depart. Holmes' researchers waved at us. We'll meet again, right? No thank you. Everything has ended, so do consider this to be our final meeting. Down to the last exchange, this guy. Last thing we saw before the portal activated and the LCE researchers pushed up their glasses in our general direction. Though I'd only taken a step or two, the entire world around us seemed to transform, landing us back inside the transportation instrument. Now that I think about it, we didn't even get to learn why Gregor's bones made those cracking noises. All we learned from this experience is that the students have all become mediocre, but they each held certain potentialities within themselves. Each of us mulling over the events at the LCE, we returned to the bus where Charon and Virgil were waiting for us.
오랜 목마름도 어버이를 향한 죄책감. 피를 마시는 순간에는 생각나지 않을 거다. 그러니 가릴 것 없이 마음껏 마셔. 그게 우리가 이룰 수 있는 유일한 꿈이니까.
Well, give me these, I suppose. I don't really have an interest in these. It's 0 of 12. Okay, so this one isn't even that long. Dang if I watch it's like called early and rest or keep going. Now keep going. Though I'll probably... I keep saying I will, but I never actually have the time to do it. I may split this part of the stream off into a separate VOD, because I do like to keep the chapters separate as possible. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Okay, so yeah, I'll probably keep Nocturnal. I'll keep the full VOD up, but I'll probably split off Nocturnal Sweeping into a separate VOD as well, just by itself, because I do like to keep the chapters as separate as possible. So, if you're seeing this as a VOD instead of a my stream like saved separately, that would be why. I'm not gonna do an intro like normal for that, because I am too damned lazy for something I'll probably forget to do. So let's just resume the story, and hope I don't die too horrible of a death. Dante, any idea where the leftover cake from yesterday went? No idea. I mean, why would I know? I can't even eat. Darn. Did Donkey... Or did Donkey already get her paws on him? Rhodia rubbed her tired eyes, muttered something about how we should have partied in her room instead, and stumbled into the back door. The New Year's comes swiftly to the inhabitants of the bus after various incidences at the LCE. The sinners all came from different backgrounds and parts of the city, but annual celebrations for New Year's seemed to be a trend that connected their cultures together. They began floating the idea of a New Year's party, and... Excellent. Then permit me the honor of hosting this banquet. Her usual overdramatic boast, coupled with a familiar twinkle in her eye, Don Quixote declared that there would be indeed a New Year's party, and thus it was decided. Again, after all the hell we went through with the back door and whatnot for an out-of-season Christmas celebration. Yet, I must insist, for 'twas but an effort to decorate the bus, the intent quite divorced from the act of celebration. Don Quixote glanced at Sinclair, sheepishly scratching the back of her head. Huh? Oh, don't worry about me, really, huh? Well, 'tis true that mine actions hath brought thee quite the distress, unintentionally, I might add. Thus I ask thee, wouldn't thou not agree to that a communal event to mark the occasion with freshen both our spirits and our bodies? I can't even begin to imagine her Amnesiac's self even taking a moment to give a damn about how Sinclair might take it. But I guess with memory it came tact. You know, it's our first New Year's together. It sure is an occasion to celebrate. An occasion to celebrate. Gotta hear that bell ding to really mark the tradition of a new year, right? It seems that we shall be welcoming the first light of the new year in company of one another, this is indeed a cause for celebration. A bowl of noodles before the last night of the year fades. Classic. So such bumbling enthusiasm from you warms mine own heart. Forsooth, the grandiosity of this banquet shall be one for the books, fireworks most brilliant enough, delicacies to. Khan wins our next stop. Mephi'll be running non-stop for 3 days at least. Only dumps stop on a fast road. Only dum-dums stop on a fast road. So she says. Why do I struggle to read? Virgil muttered with his usual... Okay, stop making my vocabulary look small, god damn it! Okay, Edge. Fist under his chin. Fee, for next year's celebration, the banquet shall be prepared. Eerie the promised hour. Don Quixote's idea of a grand banquet depressingly fizzled into nothingness, but Rhodia brought out cakes and cookies she stashed in her room so we could at least hold a small celebration for New Year's together. After that, we all stayed up together watched the New Year's first sunrise briefly paint the city in gold, then retire to sleep. The hell is this? Everyone woke up to rubbing their tired eyes to the world outside the bus completely transformed. This behemoth of a structure was a bizarre presence, and its walls seemingly made of gargantuan steel plates. H-Corp? The sinners began to voice surprise, appropriately so, as what came into view was different from any of the nests we passed by in our journey thus far. Is that massive structure all one building? If that whole thing's the nest, then where the hell's the back streets? That's big enough to cover H-Corp's territory and then some. Well, there he goes again, asking dumb questions without even taking a peep at the guidebook. That's not the nest. That huge box you see over there, that's District 8. We call Hung Ying the vast garden here at H-Corp. And this lies within the center of the structure and the back streets without. So they squeeze the entire population of a district in there. Do they just not get a ray of sunlight all year round? Well, at least they won't have to worry about the rain. I pray thee avail me a sight as well. Sinners began to gather one by one at the side of the bus, stirring awake from their late night's rest. I felt my gaze drawn toward Hong Lu. I looked for signs of concern or stress on his face, worried. It wasn't exactly something unique to Hong Lu, but the stories about his past home life we've heard throughout the year, whenever he felt like sharing them, were all consistently and terribly depressing. It's not such a bad place once you actually try living here for a while. but his lips ever so slightly curved toward into a kindly and relaxed smile, are making the same expression as ever. An expression he hasn't changed at all since our first meeting. Maybe it is the cultural difference, kinda like how Hung Lu can be nonchalant about things that should give most people pause, but actually no, I'm not helping anyone or anything by entertaining these thoughts. My job at the moment is to keep a close eye on Hong Lu, more so than usual. And if it comes time for me to help him as the manager, I'll give it my all. Besides, well, this thing's even bigger up close. Really, I carry no recollection of a structure so grand even in the past adventures of mine. And if my efforts aren't enough, I know I can trust the Sears to lend me a hand. Hey, let me see too. I collected my thoughts and approached the sinners who were so flattened up against the glass window to get a good view. Oh, hey, there's the bus in full view. I've wanted to see that for some time. Clear with it. Why the hell did it take Dawn off my... No, why did it take Dawn off my sit? That's like the first one. No. Why wasn't Dawn selected? Why?
원하신다면
드디어
내가
H사와 8구의 안내는 제게 맡기시죠.
양형님과 누님들을 위해
관리인가
이 명을 받듭니다.
죽음 충동 억제 관념 봉인.
Once we left the bus... Oh man, can't believe we had to get off the bus here. We have to make a formal complaint against H Corp for this crap. What the hell were they thinking doing shoddy construction work at the entrance of a highway that leads straight into the nest? Many causes there may be for such construction projects, yet perhaps an early warning sign eerie our approach to the site would have been a sensible addition. I can relate to that bullshit where they don't put a warning to construction in the middle of a freaking highway. Cause you veer off course and spend an hour trying to get back onto the road you need to be on, trying to travel out of state. I can relate to that all too well. So fuck you, H Corp. Were it not for young Kieran's most valiant drifting, I shudder to even imagine the terrible possibilities. It would have been an awful end to an adventure. Well, no, but it would have been an awful detour. It's no surprise that the sinners all had a piece of their mind to speak. As we drove up the entryway, we unexpectedly came across a mess of badly put together steel plates blocking our path in the middle of the road. John quickly spun the bus around, which meant that everyone ended up being thrown about like ragdolls once again. This is not the first time occurrence for this, or the second, or the fourth, or the fifth. It seems a fairly regular occurrence when she's driving. Good thing there was another road off the highway that leads into the city, right? I bet Karen would have tried to reverse gear all the way back to the last interchange. But looks like we're going through all these winding alleyways to get to the nest. It's so dark in here. We were greeted by a dark street upon disembarking from the bus, limited only by a faint strands of light. It was immediately obvious that we found ourselves in the back streets of H-Corp. Looked pretty impressive from the outside, but it's no different from any other back streets inside, eh? Yup. It's a familiar sight, I gotta say. It's getting really old. I asked thee, is the nest of this district shrouded in such darkness as well? No, these precarious sites are limited to the back streets of District 8. Back streets of the district weren't very different. The back streets of this district weren't very different from the other ones we've visited in the past. People were hurrying through the streets as though they were being chased by something. People scrolling and glaring at the ground with some sickness or discomfort. Things all too common in every corner of the city. There's one thing about this place that stood out from other districts, however. They kind of remind me of former G-Corp soldiers from District 4. What do you mean? You mean those fellas? The growths on their flesh appear too organic. Flesh appeared too organic to be prosthetics. Some of them had odd protrusions or nodules bulging from their skin as well. Ugh. Not at all, manager, but look, they haven't all mutated in the same pattern, like into an insectoid, for example. Well, I guess I should commend you for not looking at them through a biased lens. You are observing the aftermath of District 8 destructive method of treatment. So this is where the rumors of the bluish healing ointment came from, huh? Apparently they can cure any flesh wound after one night dressed in bandages. It seems that a certain misconception must be addressed. They are variations of H-Corp singularity, the bolus. The bolus? She was likely thrown into the medicine's brew and kneaded into a ball-shaped pills. Correct. H-Corp, or the Hongyun Bioengineering Group, mainly manufactures boluses that contain essences for treatment. The boluses may be taken orally, ground into water or ground with water into paste and applied directly on the affected area, or dissolved in water, soaked in the bandages and wrapped around the necessary area for treatment. I guess the rumors transform as they travel. Oh, I see. I was thinking about how they do things back at the K-Corp. The focus on K-Corp's technology is reversal or recovery of one's conditions. Returning to the original state is the keyword to their treatment. It is no rare sight to find unique techniques and technologies developed independently by the inhabitants of the back streets of District 8 using the manufactured boluses. The treatments are not individually customized for each patient. Instead, their focus is on selecting the appropriate technique from a myriad of choices to address their statuses. Perhaps one could choose words like transform or evolution as a more illustrative descriptor of their method of treatment. So what counts as treated? Can I see one of these things and know if this is a good or bad thing? This sounds bad, but I'd like to see how bad. The crowd Sinclair was pointing at certainly appeared unhurt, and none of them were bleeding or walking with a limp, but many of them appeared dazed, shaking, or staring blankly at nothing, or scratching absent-mindedly at their mutated parts. Ah, they must be the regulars. Unexpected, we found our answer not from Faust, not from Assault, but from Hung Lu. The regulars? Yes, I have heard of them as a child. People who grow too accustomed to visiting clinics in search of their physical treatments. The regulars might appear more intimidating than most people at first glance, but apparently the side effects they've been stacking changes them in strange ways. It's highly likely that the inter-operation conflicts or issues will arise when applying desperate treatment methods to a singular body. At least it's a cheaper alternative for people who didn't sign up for the life insurance. You speak of life insurance? Yes, life insurance. There's a special insurance option to bring the client back to life upon the event of their death. So the irony isn't lost on me, but I thought resurrecting people was one of the head's taboos. The head does not consider the revival via life insurance to be a violation of their non-resurrection taboo. It is likely that on a technical level, their revival is actually categorized as a brain resurrection as opposed to a full resurrection. Degradation of its functions considered, of course. Another fatal downside to this technology is that unlike the manager's clock winding, the subject cannot be brought back if their brain is destroyed. Also, there is a risk of significant losses in the process of information transference. Losses, huh? So maybe some of their mutations could be more than just a side effect of those treatments? Maybe, but I heard it takes more than 1 or 2 revivals to change that much. And since apparently people in the backstreets could never dream of paying consistent insurance renewal rates, so after all, who would sign up for insurance if using its services could reduce them to such a pitiful state? If they appear pathetic and pitiful to you rich bastards, don't they? You'll soon be in the same boat as them, so save some pity for yourself. Identify yourself. The stranger's voice cut through our discussions like a foreign instrument. We turned around to find a large group of people who were clearly up to no good. You must be the young master of the high and mighty G family. I can tell just by looking at your pretty face. Your friends, Honglu? No, I haven't had much chance to get acquainted with people from the Backstreet, so nope, I've never met them before. Of course you haven't. Too busy living large, playing gods in a whole different world from us plebs, huh? Not that it matters. We're just here to take the thing you brought here for submission to the family hierarch evaluation. The what evaluation? Okay, there's clearly been a misunderstanding. There's quite a lot of them. We're not off to a great start here, man. Actually, no. It'd be a violation of our office core values to jump them like we're some common thugs. Shang San, third son of the Triax office, challenged of the G family to a duel. Our wager will be the winner can take anything they want from the loser. Wait, what do you mean a duel? A duel? Oh, how I wish I had a soundboard so I could have played the Yu-Gi-Oh theme. God damn it. Missed opportunity. How I wish I had a soundboard. I heard tales of that duels of the Honorable Fixers Association Eastern Branch announced their intent to duel by starting their affiliation and their name instead of casting their gauntlets. And the pamphlet of that young Ishmael had presented before me earlier presenteth the truth of the Triax office is indeed an office of the East, though they are indeed of a lesser quality. 'Tis a true, genuine, accurate declaration of a duel what we behold. So it's just a fancy way of saying 1v1 me, let's go, isn't it? I mean, this guy doesn't look too tough. What do you think, Faust? Agreed. The individual does not seem to possess any particularly exceptional skills that may pose difficulties for Honglu. I think I'll be going. I'll be back in 1 minute, Dante. Sure. You sure this is okay? I don't think you're going to lose against them, but you know, just in case. No worries, I have some childhood experience with duels myself. I've done about 10 of them, I think. So the rich boy's dabbled in some duels, has he? I think you misunderstood. I meant to say I've done about 10 of them a day. Oh, but grandmother sometimes let me skip them, so I might have been slightly fewer than on some days. Well, what? I, Honglu of Limbus Company, no. I be Bayu of the G family? Accept this duel. Honglu stepped forward confidently as the opponent he was facing he was processing what he just heard. For a moment, Honglu stood there in a stance that did not express even a hint of aggression before curiously cocking his head to the side. Sorry, are we waiting for something? So I always let the opponent get the first 2 moves in duels. Please don't hesitate. Let me, you little, your cocky pride shall be your downfall. The man who introduced himself as Shan Sen leaped towards Honglu, then after about a minute, how is this happening? Well, I don't think we were meant to kill him, but he looks very dead. Oh no, he's talking. Just, he's splattered on the concrete, but he's still talking. Why is that rat's eyes glowing red? How is this happening? Like Shansen, who was throwing punches and swinging with boiling hot passion, Honglu was effortlessly flying between his opponent's strikes like he was out on a picnic. As though this was but a leisurely stroll through the garden. Whenever Shinsen threw a punch, Honglu redirected it to the side with ease, fists only grazing his clothes. We were memorized by the featherly light movements of his hand and feet effortlessly gliding through the air until, after one blink and you'll miss it moment, we realized that Shinsen was already face down on the ground, defeated. Oh, Honglu, hast thou been concealing thy full strength in our presence? Oh no, I wouldn't say that. I've always put my all into every fight. Yet to defeat a foe so suddenly, to dance with such grace in between strikes, 'twas as though thou weren't dueling someone whose skill may only measure against a child's. But most of our fights have been in environments with a lot of variables. We usually fight enemies with all kinds of unexpected weapons and powers. You read them. Already familiar with this fool's moves. Oh yes. One of my Biwu instructors used similar techniques as this gentleman here. Practice makes perfect and perfection makes expert, right? Right, but I'm not sure if this is entirely relevant here. Well, anyway, looks to me like he's suddenly kicked your behind in this duel. Let us through, why don't you? You're perfectly not do anything I think you're about to do. Your duel wasn't overseen by a notary office anyway, and our employer's not gonna let this failure slide if we just leave. Hey, don't just sit there, move your asses and jump them. Well, so much for being above that stuff. That changed real fast. Pathetic. You kind of see how we're becoming experts at getting jumped. With a bitter cry of defeat, his gang rushed towards us.
이 기회에 평소 지휘 실력을 확인해 보죠, 단테.
Oh, I like this music.
해보십시오.
Oh, I can tell I'm gonna love this music, especially if they cross this music with something like more like rock oriented. I can tell I'm gonna love this music at least. Come on, crush them.
40. 먹지. 저대로 돌려보낼 생각은 아니시죠? 확실히 처리해야 합니다. 꿰뚫려라!
You got this done. Good.
선택이었어, 나리! 개인적으로
단순해서 좋군. 9번 수감.
Aren't you guys pushovers?
좋은 성과를 갖고 돌아온다면 달고 짭짤한 걸 준비해두지.
I love how I can use that to overclock something too. We'll just see how much damage I can rack up. I'm never gonna be able to get to my 600 mark, am I? That was such thing I got really lucky with. Oh, nope, it's still climbing, it's still climbing, it's still climbing. Oh,
돌리리 방금 뭘 배웠어? 엄청나게 강한 일격을! 추잡하네. 네 피부.
좋아. 장부에서 삭제.
man, jumped us and you still can't win. This really isn't a great start, fellas. I've never it's never easy, is it? Hey, at least we got a nice warm-up. It wasn't all bad. I don't know. This seems more serious than our usual street brawls. Ishmael's right. They weren't your everyday thugs who picked fights with random people for no good reason. They were contracted by someone to specifically target and eliminate Hong Lu. And given how open they were about their intent calling it a contract, it doesn't seem like whoever gave the contract was exactly going for subtlety. Then maybe it was Zichun. Though maybe this was what Zichun. How the hell do you pronounce it? I forget. I heard her name pronounced. I've forgotten how to pronounce it. Zichun? I was talking about way back when she mentioned surviving. Mentioned surviving as hares. Whoever's behind this must have a bone to pick with Hong Lu. And it seems that we must expect more skirmishes like these going forward. Alas, was this not readily... was this trial not readily overcome? Not the point. I think on it a little more. It seems like they're assuming that Hong Lu's brought something here in order to participate in that family hierarchy evaluation. There's no reason to assume that we've seen the last of them. They're going to try again to take out the competition. A highly accurate assessment for the situation by Executive Manager. I expect no less from someone of your genius. Going for the classics of brown nosing today, Otis. Not just today. She does that pretty much every day, Rhodia. This is nothing new. Since when was brown-nosing to compliment a job well done? Do you not expect... This insane conversation is most riveting, but I would prefer some silence while we wait. Seems that the company foresaw such difficulties. They sent your support team to help handle this issue. I've heard voices coming from behind us, from where Virgil pointed. My, you guys still haven't learned how to stick to the plan, have you? It's gonna be that, chick, that's been, what's her name, I can't remember her name. She was the one of the two who survived the whole thing with Incorp and everything. I can't remember her name. It really threw me off when I was told to meet you in some backstreet location anyway, away from our agreed rendezvous points. A familiar voice, a voice we could not forget. Yep, it's her. I could not remember her name to save my life, but yep, it's her. Been a while, everyone. Pilot. Hi, I'm here too. Oh, it's the guy we saved from the shipping containers. We turned into a... we turned around and followed the voice where the voice was coming from, and recognized two people we've been hoping to see again.
오랜 목마름도 어버이를 향한 죄책감도 피를 마시는 순간에는 생각나지 않을 거다. 그러니 가릴 것 없이 마음껏 마셔. 그게 우리가 이룰 수...
Okay, so I am kind of reaching my limit here. It's now 2:20 a.m. A little bit earlier than normal, but I am extremely tired and I need to go to sleep. Donating plasma just kind of drains the life out of me. It makes me really sleepy. Sleepier than normal, so... Yeah, I'm kind of at my limit here, so I need to get some rest. So, tomorrow will be Limbus Company again, 11:30 p.m. BST. I don't know what I'm going to do if I manage to beat Nocturnal Sweeping next stream. I don't think I will, but I don't know what I'm going to do if I do manage to beat it. I'll probably just switch to like keyboarders or something. Unless there's something after this I'm not aware of. But yeah, if I end up beating it tomorrow, or having to go into Wednesday and then finish it off there, I don't know what I'm gonna do if I beat it. I don't know yet, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. So yeah, without further ado though, I'll see y'all next time. Good night everybody, and bye bye.